Happy Friday. It's Friday, the 19th of February, noon, Toronto/New York. And welcome, everybody. We're glad you could hang out with us on a Friday. Going to welcome in the weekend together. Looking forward to it. This is part 2 of our putting together a granny square poncho. We started last week. We had sort of a marathon live stream on Friday, and we didn't get done. So I'm working on row 2 today. I still need to finish the hood. And then, of course, there's some edging that needs to be done. So we're going to see how I get on today's part 2. We'll recap that in a bit. First of all, let's do a little tech check and a welcome to everybody. Mr. InStitches, if you could let me know if everybody says they can at least see us somewhat. Remember, we've got terrible internet here in Canada. And but at least if you can hear us, and then we'll kind of recap very briefly last week. We'll show you where we're at, and then we'll get right into mostly a lot of joining squares for me today.
Did you just say show you a rat?
No, I said recap.
Because I'm like, I didn't bring the box of rats today.
Show you a rat?
I thought I heard show you a rat. We'll show you a rat. That's what I heard. No. I don't know. I didn't have enough coffee today. I'm like, oh man, I didn't bring the box of rats.
A rat. Does anybody out there actually have a pet rat? Because I like rats.
They're adorable.
I think they're really cute.
Some of those YouTube videos have pet rats like hanging out.
They're hilarious. They sit on your shoulder, and
hanging out with dogs and cats.
Yeah.
And okay, so I'm checking on the tech check.
Yes. So you're totally distracted by small furry rodents.
Yes,
again.
I'm thinking about small rodents. Love the rodents.
We're rodent friendly here.
Let's see here. Okay, so we are definitely being seen and heard.
Okay. Perfect.
Oh, here we go. Christine says, tech check, all clear.
All
great.
Clear.
Good
Marvelous.
To know.
Great.
Everything is clear here. Okay, great. And then discussing our rat/rodent conversation.
Yes.
Ashley says, I used to have a hamster.
Oh, I love hamsters.
And Cherry B says, I like mice.
Mm-hmm. I love mice. They're so cute.
No rats here. Had gerbils when younger. Yes.
I love pocket pets.
Yes,
period.
We had gerbils too when we were very small.
Rodents are just so darn cute. I just love them.
Okay, so
let's jump in. Okay, so first things first. Last week we introduced you to our granny square poncho layout. This is a free downloadable printable sheet that we have over on the tools page of our website. So if you want to make a granny square poncho along with us, or in the future, for heaven's sakes, go grab this. It's a little PDF file underneath the thumbnail you'll recognize from the 2 live streams we've done. And you can, like I say, save it to your e-reader on your phone or your tablet, or you can download it to your computer and print it right off like I have here. And it basically just takes you through how to figure out how big to make your squares, how many squares you need, how to do sort of the layout. And then there's just a couple of little like odds and ends, kind of like... what's the word I'm looking for? Hints? Suggestions, I guess. Suggestions for just little finishing touches. And that's kind of what I'm doing today. So because we don't have the clearest internet, we wanted to make sure that we had something for you all to look at that was a nice and clear HD on your screen so that you can understand what I'm talking about. Today, we're going for row 2. So we did row 1 last week. I'm going to be working on row 2. So I'm going to be sewing in all of the squares for the second row, which works out to 16 squares. This was row 1. So that's the that's one side, other side. These are those crazy squares we made when we were playing the granny square game. And I also have a smaller, so this is sort of an easier way to look at it. So there's row 1. The square in the middle is the neck hole. And of course, when you fold it in half on the diagonal, you get your yoke. And this is the first row of your granny square poncho. Depending on how big you make your squares will determine the size of your neck hole, which you can always fill in with stitching. We did a little of that last week, so you can sort of see it here. And it'll also determine how quickly it gets wide and long. So that's where we're at. I'm also working on a hood. Those are just basically 2 larger granny squares. We might get to work on those today, but first I wanted to get sort of back to work on putting together row 2. And I think the easiest way to do it, there's really no wrong way to join your squares. I'm sewing mine in, but what I'm going to do is just sew together a row of 5, sew together another row of 5, and then stitch them across one side and then the other of row 1, and then fill in the side squares. But it doesn't really matter how you do it. That's just how I'm going to do it because it feels a little bit easier.
Okay, so I'm going to put the link to our tools page in the chat. It's there right now.
Thank you.
If you want to if everyone wants to take a few minutes to go get that sheet, if you like, you can view it on your phone or tablet, or you can print it out. And while we're waiting on everyone to catch up with that, I would like to welcome a new member who joined us today called Craft Corner with Rhonda.
Craft Corner with Rhonda. Welcome, Rhonda. Thanks for joining.
Welcome to our alpaca level.
Well, welcome.
And a big thank you to Dara, who sent us a super sticker.
Thank you.
It's our little pair friend giving a huge thumbs up.
Thumbs up.
Yeah.
Well, thank you guys for joining us today. I know that not everybody's making a poncho along with us. This is kind of a hangout session. We wanted to settle into the weekend together. Last weekend was a bit wild for us. It was the Valentine's weekend, but also here in Ontario, we have Family Day, which is a holiday on the Monday. So we had a long weekend, so to speak. But of course, we were still in lockdown last week. And I think things are kind of lifting in areas here. So it really wasn't much of a holiday. It was like, yay, we get to stay home an extra day. Oh, wait a minute. So anyway, that was kind of I find whenever you have a long weekend, it kind of just sort of, I don't know, it sets you up funny for the next week. Like you still kind of have to get your week's worth of work done, but now you have like fewer days to get it done in. Y'all feel me?
A couple of questions have come in. And we'll read through those quick.
I'm gonna start
while you're getting ready and everyone's grabbing their free printable.
Yes.
So this is from Krista. Krista asks, do you have a pattern for a triangle granny square?
Yes, we do.
It's the one behind
these little sweeties behind us.
I think we need,
that is Katie around?
Where's our employee of the month? I can't remember. I think the title had something to do with bunting.
Yes, it's a triangle granny, or granny triangle is the name of it, because that's what it is.
Yeah.
Excuse me. And I think we also say something like, let's make a bunting in the title of the video.
Yeah.
So that right there is what they look like.
I'm using the help signal, but it's not working. Okay, and
it's easy enough just to follow on that. It's easy enough to find. You just have to search.
You know what? It might be in our Granny Square.
It'll be in that playlist.
Yeah. If you go to our Granny Square playlist and just skim through there.
But you can also search Jayda InStitches Granny Triangle, and it'll come right up. So
that's probably better.
Yeah, that's fast.
And let's see here. There was a question from Rosie.
Sure.
Rosie asks, when you pick up your yarn, do you go by skein yardage versus price?
When I pick up
or
yarn?
Are you just set on a particular yarn? So when you choose your yarn, when you purchase your yarn, do you go by skein size? Do you go by price? Do you go by
a little bit of everything, really?
The type of yarn it is?
It depends. Like if I have a particular project in mind, then I know, say I'm looking for cotton, I just look at cottons and I don't sort of let myself get distracted by the other stuff. But typically when I go to a yarn store, which is not actually something I do very often, and in the last year, I don't think we've done it at all, I just walk in and let everything kind of wash over me. And if it's a pretty ball of yarn, then I'm drawn to it. If it's super, super fluffy and there's like a lot of little bits and stuff coming off of it, I tend to stay away from that because I find that those pill quickly. I love a good deal. I mean, who doesn't? I always look in the discount bin because I want to see, like what kind of deals they might have, because that's a fun way to get like 5 or 6 or 7 or even 10 balls of the same color. Just so if I want to make a larger project down the road, then I know I've got enough.
A big thank you to Shell and Cameron, who found the tutorial. It's called Granny Triangle Crochet Pattern.
Thanks, guys.
And we published that in May 2016.
Oh my gosh. Wow. Oh, and there's our little chippies in that video.
Oh, that's right.
Yes.
Our little chippy.
Our little chippies in that video.
Several generations ago, I guess.
But yeah, I just everything. I kind of go for everything. I like, if it's a pretty ball of yarn, I have trouble saying no. If it's a really large ball of yarn, then I like it because I think, oh, good. Well, then, you know, I know there's a whole lot of yarn sort of here. And if I kind of have a wider variety of projects I could start with, not having to worry about running out of yarn. So yeah, it just depends, I guess. So anyway, all I'm doing is I'm just sewing together my squares. I'm going to sew 5 together in a row, and then I'm going to attach that to one side of the row 1 of the granny poncho that I've got sitting on my lap here. So that is the plan so far. And I'm just literally sewing it together with whatever yarn I've got in my scrap bag. I'm not terribly concerned about colors matching or anything because obviously there's not a whole lot of matching color throughout this entire project. But I like that. So that's the first 2. And I thought I would just sort of, I'm just sewing them together right sides facing, just so there's a slightly less, there's less of the stitch showing on the right side. Again, not that it really matters in this case because it's a real, I've got a real boho kind of effect going. And I'm just going to keep tying in lengths of yarn as I need it as I sew. So nothing complicated. And I try to join, whenever I'm sewing together the edges of a pair of granny squares. We have videos on how to join and stuff, but and there's a million ways you can join your squares. There's no one way. Of course, there's always, it depends on sort of what the look is that you're going for. But I like to start in the corner and go from one full corner to across to the other corner. And typically in my granny squares, I have a corner created by 2 chains. So chain 1, chain 2. So I'll join my yarn in that chain that sits right up against the first shell. So this is the shell here. And I'll join my yarn through that pair of chains in the corner, and I'll stitch through every single set of stitches and chains all the way across to the other corner where this is the chain. And I'll sort of finish with my knot through those sets of chains that sort of enter into the corner. And I feel that gives me a nice, straight, flat, even seam between my 2 squares.
Mm-hmm. Craft Corner with Rhonda, one of our new members, says, I'm about to restock my stash. Ooh. I've been looking for good online sales. I'm excited to get stocked back up.
That's exciting. Where does everybody do their yarn shopping? I know depending on what country you're in, you've got different options available. Does anyone know of any online deals going on right now that they could share with the community? If anybody else is interested in doing a little online shopping, yarn shopping?
Yeah, if you've found any great sales out there, share it with Rhonda.
Yes, and everyone else.
We recommend Amazon or lionbrand.com. Mm-hmm. Lion Brand sponsors our show from time to time.
Yes.
Not specifically today's live stream, but
they do. They're great. I love their yarn.
Yeah, and we love their yarn.
Yeah. That's been a family favorite actually for many generations.
For generations
in my family.
Check them out. See if they're having any sales.
Yeah, I actually haven't been to their website in a couple of weeks because I'm trying to resist the urge to buy.
To control your spending. Have any sales out there? Share. Let's see what we got. Mary says, I go to Joanne and Michael's. Joanne's, we hear Joanne's a lot, and we hear Hobby Lobby a lot.
We don't have that in Canada yet, either of those, but we do have Michael's.
We have Michael's, but we don't have Joanne's or Hobby Lobby, as far as I know. So Laura says Hobby Lobby is having a 30% yarn sale this week, 30% off.
Okay.
Yeah, everyone's sharing in the chat. That's great.
So a real deal. Awesome. If you're looking for, I think we've done a couple of videos on sort of hunting for deals or like looking for yarn deals. And I have to say, If you're just looking to buy yarn and you don't have a particular project in mind, then it's always good to look at the discontinued and the discounted yarns, because discontinued yarns doesn't mean there's anything wrong with it. It just means that maybe they're not going to renew that colorway. Maybe they're changing manufacturers, and so they're going to discontinue this particular part of the line and start up with another one. So it's a good option if you're looking for cheaper yarns, because it just means you won't necessarily be able to find that color lot again. And I have gotten some pretty great deals in the past, just finding bins full of yarns that even will say discontinued. And I think, that's fine. I like the color. I like the feel. Set. What's this? $2 a ball? Okay. Where's that cart?
So another one of our new members is Creatively Created Crochet. Triple C.
I love that.
Thanks for joining. So Creatively Created says, yes, I love Lion Brand. They have sponsored one of my craft hour streams.
Marvelous.
I would love to do one of your tutorials for my craft hour. I will shout you out, of course. I guess what you could do is message us through our
yeah, just pop into our Etsy shop and message us
through our Etsy shop, and we'll set something up.
Yeah, that would be fine.
Yeah,
that's exciting.
So what else we got here? I saw a sale on Premier's website recently. Okay,
it's after Christmas, and I feel like this is often a time too when everybody kind of puts a lot of stuff on sale because they want to do new colors for the spring or new lines for the summer. And they're trying to get rid of all the stuff from last year. And they also know that we all spend a lot of money just before Christmas. And so they kind of give us some breathing space in January. And then in February, they're like, hey, can we interest you in all of this sort of stuff that we're going to discontinue?
So Shell has ordered a mystery box from Mary Maxim, which comes at 20% off. But it's a mystery box.
That's just
so
fun.
You don't really know what you're getting.
I like that.
That
sounds like
that's
fun.
Exciting.
Mary Maxim, the actual store, when we went to visit, they have an entire room for stuff that's on sale, the yarn and the kits, and I kind of got lost in there.
Oh wow, that was a very fun.
That was so much fun. I really liked the Mary Maxim.
That was
place.
A fun day.
Yeah,
that's a good store.
That's a beautiful store. It is so tidy.
You love crafting. The supplies. There's a lot of supplies in there.
It's neat. It's organized. It's got aisles and aisles and aisles of all kinds of things. So now I will say this: yarn takes up the majority of that place. It's like a full half the back end of the store. They even have a counter dedicated to people who are like there to help you with your yarn questions and your project questions. They really know what they're talking about. And but they've got aisles of like paint supplies and cross stitch and buttons and sewing fabric and oh my gosh, I did not have enough time. I didn't have enough time when we were there. I have to go back. Really nice too, and I like the building. It's kind of and they've got their big fulfillment center sort of attached to it, and you can kind of look through the window of the door and see all the what are those things called? The caster roller.
Oh yeah, it looks like a.
What are those called?
Oh my goodness!
You can tell it's Friday.
Brain fog.
Yeah.
Trolley. Conveyor belts?
Conveyor belts, but without the conveyor belt.
But with the wheels. They're conveyor belts without the conveyor belt.
They're the little roller, the roller belt.
Yeah, what are those called?
What are those called? Oh my gosh.
Someone will know.
A complete hole in my vocabulary.
With the rollers.
The rollers.
Yeah.
Yeah. I like that sound they make.
How's that coming over
well,
there?
I'm
Look
down.
at you
This
joining
is.
away.
I know. I'm stitching away.
Does anyone have any questions about what Jayda is doing?
And is anybody else making one?
Is anyone else making one? Does anyone have any questions about the free printable / what are we calling that thing?
It's a layout page.
A layout.
Yeah. So if you need it to refer back to later, we figured you'd just like to add it to
I'm gonna call it the granny square poncho map.
The map.
Yeah.
It does look a bit like a map.
Mapping out your poncho.
It's actually kind of accurate.
Lydia wants to know what you're making.
I'm making.
It's a fair question.
It's a good question. A poncho, granny square poncho. So this is what the layout looks like. And if you see the thumbnail on the video, I'm wearing a granny square poncho where every single row was squares of a different, of the same color. So like the top row was all the same green, and then another, I think I used another different green sort of all the way through it. There's so many different ways that you can design a granny square poncho. And I've made a lot of them over the years. And we actually were digging for those photographs because I don't have that poncho anymore.
Dig back many years, back when we were young, chipper, bright-eyed, and bushy-tailed. Looking back at those pictures is like,
it's a bit sad.
Whoa, it's a bit sad. It's a bit nostalgic.
Yeah.
Aw, look how cute we were.
But
how cute and young we were.
I don't have that poncho anymore. Actually, it went to somebody else. But I've made a lot of them in the past.
You sold that poncho.
I did.
That was yes.
My girlfriend
sale.
wanted it for her daughter, and she was like, "Please let me pay for that." And
many of our viewers don't know this, but we used to do a lot of craft shows.
Yeah, back in the day.
Back in the day.
Mostly so I could clear house because I make stuff constantly.
So Jayda could make room so she could buy more yarn. So then I clued in. I said, wait a minute. This is a scam.
Hang on a second.
I know what's going on here. You sell one little thing and then you're like, I'm going to need 8 boxes of yarn to fill that. Wait a minute.
What can I say? I love yarn. Yarn obsessed.
Here we go. Do you mean casters by chance? Is that what they're called? Casters? Casters.
Aren't those like a wheel thing or a part of the wheel? Or like, okay, caster wheels are the ones that have like that, oh boy, here we go. This is a sideways conversation. It's like, those are the wheels that go flip, 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 right?
Oh,
like,
so it's not that.
I don't think so. These are
it's a conveyor belt.
Okay,
without the belt.
Yeah.
And a whole lot more rollers.
This is terrible. But the liquor,
roller track?
the liquor store.
Maybe that's it. It's a roller
The beer
track.
store and the liquor store, the LCBO and the beer store,
have
them for return. So you can put a bin down
roll it
and
down.
Brrr, and it's just little rollers on it.
Remember that sound, everyone.
That sounds like.
That's the sound they make.
Yes. I can't think of anywhere else where they're used. Oh, well, they used to be.
It's official.
In
could we call it the brrr track? Can we call it that?
Well, it's accurate. When I was little, we used to go to a food store that had those, and you could like box your stuff and then roll the boxes down this thing to an area where you could pull your car up and put them on your car. So they would roll out of the store and through like an airlock, and then you could.
They have portable ones.
Yeah.
Here's some nostalgia from Cherry B. The first video I watched was like 2014, and you were sitting on the floor making appliques.
Oh my god!
Adorable.
Yes, we've come.
I think I remember that.
We've bought ourselves chairs since that time.
Yes, we bought a couple of chairs. Yeah, everyone is saying conveyor belt. That's what I thought too.
It's exactly a conveyor belt. It just doesn't
have a belt. Here we go. Teddy Smith says a gravity roller conveyor. Now we're getting technical.
Yes, that's exactly what it is. It's a roller conveyor. It doesn't have a belt on it.
Rollers.
And these usually, yes, it's gravity fed because usually there's a bit of an incline and they, but not too much because you don't want them slamming into
it's very little.
Yeah. Yes. Thank you.
Thanks, everyone. This is a crochet channel.
This is a crochet channel. Yeah.
Well, we were discussing.
I don't pretend to be.
We were discussing Mary Maxim's fulfillment center.
Yeah, and it's just so neat. And I liked looking.
It's like a mini Amazon.
Yeah, very mini.
It's not so mini though.
No,
it was pretty. They had a lot of stuff back there.
They do have a lot of stuff back there.
We're meaning to go back. We just haven't had a chance.
Yeah, it's not close.
No,
so it's a bit of a hike to get there.
It's definitely not around the corner.
But we would love to go back.
Gravity roller conveyor. I'm getting that again.
Gravity roller conveyor. Okay, I think that
skate wheel roller conveyor.
Skate wheel.
Wow, we're learning a lot today.
This is great. We got engineers in the chat. Okay.
Can someone build one, please?
So there's one side of row 2. So that's 5 squares, all sort of stitched together. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And now I'm going to sew it along here. So the middle 3 will get stitched to these 3, and then there'll be 2 or 1 sort of sitting out either end. So that's what I'm going to do now.
Here's a question from Ashley. Ashley says, here's a tough question for Jayda. Are you ready?
I'm ready.
What brand of yarn do you think you have the most of in your stash?
It is a complete split between Bernat and Red Heart, but I'm going to say Bernat likely edges out Red Heart a dozen or so balls of yarn. I have a lot of Bernat because Bernat has its main factory in this province.
It's easily accessible.
Everybody sells it
in this area.
It's easy for me to get. Yeah.
Yeah, because you used to go to Stedman's a lot, which is kind of like they're slowly disappearing.
The VNS.
Yeah. And because that yarn is spun in Ontario, it's just so much more easier to get and find. And Walmart has it.
So definitely Bernat, because like I tell a lot of people, I didn't just start my yarn stash overnight. I've been collecting yarn for 30 some odd years. And I would just get it anywhere I could find it. Growing up, that wasn't really easy. We're not from a city. We're from a really little town that didn't have a lot of options, and we didn't get out of it very much. So I only got it where I could get it. When I was a kid, we didn't even have Walmart.
Crafty Chat says, I rarely see Bernat and Red Heart. It's very rare over here. So yeah, it's interesting how we get a lot of comments from people around the world, talking about how they can't find certain yarns, and it's all kind of local or where the manufacturer is willing to distribute to.
Yeah, I mean, that's why I think
transportation is expensive.
Transportation is expensive. Importing, exporting. There's, and also I notice a lot of people, depending on where you are, like even because we are still getting used to the fact that we're a global community now and not just, a bunch of little pockets. Things are still trying to align. Like we don't have a fully universal hook sizing chart yet. I've got a chart that has like the conversion between 4 different sort of standard sizing, and then it's the same with the yarn. We don't have a global weight standardized sort of category for yarns. And so when someone says to me, "Well, what ply is that?" Here, ply just means how many little strings are built into the actual yarn itself. So for example, if I unwound this one looks like it's 1, 2, 3, 4. So this is four little plies of smaller threads. I don't know if you can see that, but there's 4 little ply that make up, and this is a size 4 medium weight yarn, and that's 4 ply because those are the ply.
Yeah,
those are the little threads.
We have a video on that actually.
But the ply has nothing to do with the weight category here. So I have to assume that in the countries where ply is the weight standard, like the standard weight kind of categorization of yarn, that it's very strict how many ply are sort of wound into a particular yarn. It's not like that here. A size 4 could have 3 ply, 4 ply, 10 ply. It just depends on how thick the ply are. So it's we need to standardize, because we all keep going, okay, but how many is that, and what is that, and it's but we're getting there. I feel like we have conversion charts actually. The only one we don't have is a conversion chart for yarn weights. Over on the tools page again of our website, we have a conversion chart for hook size, and we have a conversion chart for UK crochet terminology and British, I should say US crochet terminology or American terminology. So we have a little conversion chart there because there are some slight differences in the names of stitches, because this is an old craft and it has evolved over many, many years with many, many different hands and heads working together on it. So it's we're getting closer. All right, I am just getting across this first. I'm attaching the first row of my row 2. So the first set of granny squares that make up row 2 of my poncho. So I'm Just stitching along here. Kind of a chill live stream today, guys. We're just sort of hanging out and doing a little, this is mostly sewing.
Michelle asks, what color of yarn do you use the most?
Oh, gosh.
Gee.
The
most.
That's a good question.
I really think that one through.
I think I'm just going to look at all the yarn I have. I think I run out of baby blue the most because I use that as the background for a lot of things. I really like that color and I end up using it a lot. So very specifically like a baby blue or a sky blue color. I use that a lot more than I realized. That and bright banana yellow. I run out of that one a lot. Not that I can think of a single project that's completely that blue or completely that yellow, but I do use those two colors a lot. And I never seem to have a lot of red yarn, but I don't feel like I use that. But when I do reach for it, I don't have a lot. So I guess there's a discrepancy between the colors I use and the colors I typically buy, which is really weird, but not surprising.
I wouldn't even really be able to answer that question. I feel like you just pretty much use them all.
I use them all, but I realize...
I guess the most would be things like...
and white.
Black and white.
I run out of white all the time.
And you know what I feel like you're always saying you need? Yellow.
Yeah, yellow.
You're always like, I'm running out of yellow.
That very specific
like,
yellow.
Yeah. A specific, like, sunny yellow.
Yes.
Yeah.
I run out of that one a lot. For a while, I couldn't find any. Again, because
that's right. It's not always easy to find stuff.
Our yarn options are occasionally limited. But yeah, I couldn't for a while. I couldn't find any. This feels nice and solid. So that's one. I've got two sort of sew. And then I'm going to do 5 and I'm going to sew that to the other side. I know this is a lot of people kind of get hung up. This is where the granny square world kind of breaks down sometimes. People love to make granny squares, myself included, but then you end up with a pile of them and you're like, but now I got to join them all together. So I always have to change gears. When I know it's time to start joining my squares together, I need to just sort of tell myself, well, this isn't going to move along as quickly as it does when I'm crocheting. But at the same time, I'm going to enjoy the effect when it's done. So I just kind of, I don't know, I kind of put myself in a different frame of mind, maybe put on some television or something. And I just start joining together my squares, taking it easy. Whether I'm sewing them or stitching them together, it doesn't really matter. But
Fruit Delight says, hello from Sweden.
Hello.
I wish I could make a poncho with the falling leaf pattern.
Ooh.
That pattern is my favorite.
That would be really pretty.
Made some good projects with it. Is it possible?
Anything is possible.
Anything is possible.
Anything is possible. You just have to find the right poncho basic construction pattern and then superimpose that stitch pattern on top of it. So, for example, you might find it easy to make a bunch of squares using the falling leaves pattern and then stitch all those squares together. That might be one way to do it. You might want to do the that striped poncho. We have a tutorial that we did, I guess that was back in the fall, for the striped poncho. And if you're savvy with creating angles and stuff with that particular stitch, then you can just do it row by row by row, making sure that you've got 4 interior corners, which isn't, or making 4 corners. So you basically work 2 of the motif into the same place, and that with a little like chains in between. That would basically just create a corner. So you could do it that way if you're comfortable kind of conceptualizing it that way. Those are the 2 easiest ways to do it. But yeah, totally. You can pretty much, if you're willing to do a little experimentation, which you'll hear me say a lot, then you can pretty much get anything to work for anything. Sometimes it just takes a little patience and a little fiddling. But I mean, that's how I figured out most of what I know. I had a couple of books, and I'm self-taught, as a lot of you know. There was no such thing as the internet. I learned how to crochet. I definitely made several very strange looking hats back in the beginning. I didn't even know what the stitches were that I was using. All right, and the last join. So this is final square. When I'm stitching, I don't know if you probably can't see it, but I always put a finger in between the two sides and I hold the other two sides pinched with my thumb and my middle finger. And that just allows me to kind of see both sides of the two different pieces of fabric that I'm sewing. And I also kind of like to feel my way across. This is another thing that I actually enjoy about joining squares is I do it one shell at a time. So I focus on 3 stitches at a time. That way I don't end up with my squares kind of being out of alignment by the time I get to the end of the row, which I used to do a lot of. So always focus on, find that space between the shells, put your finger through it and go, okay, yeah. And then just focus on the tops of those 3 stitches that make up that shell and just work on those one at a time. And then you won't be out of alignment.
Linda asks, is there a video on washcloths?
For the Falling Leaves program? Wait.
I think washcloths
in general?
Yeah, I feel like we have like
a dozen?
15 of them.
Yes.
It was a rhetorical question. I was trying to goof.
You're just joking around.
I was trying to goof on you.
Well, to be a little more specific, we have
Katie, get to work. Katie.
We've got a really simple one that is a great washcloth or white cloth that you can easily make. They're fast, they're small, and you can reuse them, like wash them a lot. I think we just call that a simple washcloth or something. But my favorite, we've done a lot of dishcloths, which can also be washcloths. I love those. I love making cloths. It's a great way to practice a stitch. Our pretty simple dishcloth pattern uses the falling leaves stitch. And I think it's my favorite. I go back and make that one all the time. It's so pretty and it's so useful. It's actually a good little scrub stitch. And it's very easy to make. And then of course there's even a pretty little border on it, which is again, just a continuation of the stitch. I love that one. That one's one of my faves.
Hey, we've had a surge in memberships.
Hey,
woohoo!
Welcome everybody.
Hi everyone. Okay, so first, a big hello and thank you to Mandy's Doll Couture.
Ooh, Mandy's Doll Couture.
Yeah, Mandy upgraded to Merino.
Thank you, Mandy.
Thank you, Mandy. And a big thank you to Marie LaFay, who is,
hello.
I believe that's a renewal.
Yes. Hi, Marie.
Thank you. Hello, Marie. And a big thank you to yours truly by Rose.
Hi, Rose. Thanks so much, you guys.
Thanks, everyone.
I hope everyone's looking forward to a pretty relaxed weekend. I know the weather has been a little insane over here on the in the west. It's just stopped snowing right now, but we expect more later this afternoon. We've got how much would you say we have outside right now, Mr. InStitches?
That recently fell, or that fell in the last few weeks?
Just in the last few days.
The last few days, couple of feet.
Probably, yeah.
Yeah, just shy of 2 feet.
There's and then in the areas where it's drifted, it's like very, very deep.
Had to bust out the snowblower a few days ago. So that was the drifts. The drifts were pretty bad.
The drifts are pretty bad.
But last night we just got a few centimeters.
A little over an inch.
A little
just
over an inch, 3 centimeters.
Dust everything on top.
It's been pretty steady.
Yeah, it's been pretty steady. I have to say, we've been very fortunate. Our power has stayed on, but our internet has been extremely dodgy the last few days. So we're really hoping it maintains its integrity today during our live stream. Okay, so this is going to look funny, but I will explain. So there's row 1, that big hollow square, and now I've started adding row 2. So it's 5 squares across the bottom. There has to be 1 square for each of the 3 on the side of row 1, and then 1 on either side, which will join up to the squares that run along this side. But before I get to that, I'm going to do the 5 on the opposite side, and then I'm just going to do the 3 in the middle on either side. So 16 squares. It's not small, not a small amount. But now I'm going to join together another 5. So trying to vary up here. Oh, that one's pretty. And that one. Good. More sewing, more sewing. This is the extremely sexy side of crochet, is all the joining of squares. And I don't do anything fancy when I join my yarn. I just basically knot it to make sure it's not going to go anywhere. And then I weave in my little tails later. Nothing fancy.
Crafty Chat says, Katie, you should set up a Jayda and Stitches employee union. There will be no unions here at the Jayda and Stitches show.
Well, you can unionize, but I don't know what it's going to do.
Maybe I'll join the union too.
And
a union of one.
A union of one.
Crafty Chats was making a joke about me putting subscribers to work. Katie is actually a channel member.
I have to say, thank you very much.
So I've put Katie, the channel member, to work, and Shell, who's also a channel member, has been put to work.
We really appreciate the help because our internet is such that we can barely muster the power to be sort of live with you in this rather pixelated format. And if we tried to open another window, it would
everything goes
stall
blurry.
Out. And that also means that we can't have any other thing connected to the internet. So no phone, device, no computer.
You guys don't know this, but every time we have to set up a live stream, we have to run around the house turning all of our internet stuff off.
Yes, everything has to be off.
Gonna disconnect this and turn that off.
Make sure the TV's unplugged.
Turn that
it's not on.
Wi-Fi off.
Computers are off.
We gotta feed the squirrels.
We have to feed the squirrels
because they get upset. It's complicated.
It is complicated, and we even have to do a speed test, and then sometimes if it's bad enough, we have to reset everything.
Yes. Welcome to
rural living in Canada.
Our rural Canadian internet service. Hey, we have another new member.
Hello.
A big welcome to RTV.
RTV. Nifty. Welcome. Well, I'm really hoping to, one of the things on our, I should say my work in progress organizer. So if any of you were around for that live stream we did back in January, we created an organizer that's also available on the tools page of our website. I will take a moment to say. So if you are over there, sort of download everything we've got. We've got all sorts of, anywhere you see a little PDF file on that page, just download it.
Download it. It's free.
It's free and it's handy.
On the website.
You'll find some purpose for it.
There's also a chart on that page. You were talking about the conversion chart.
Yes.
There's a couple of charts that on that page that do that for you.
Yeah. So the work in progress organizer, we put together an organizer. It's a free download. The idea is to help you kind of keep track of all the works in progress that you may have on the go and to kind of help motivate you to get some of them finished. So I filled mine out. One of the first things on it was the scarf that I wanted to finish. This is more of those squares that we made during the Granny Square game. I wanted to finish this, and I also wanted to get it lined. That was a big part of it. So got it lined, did a video on that. If you've you're curious about how to line a scarf or a blanket, we sort of walk you through a pretty basic way to do it, all by hand. You don't need a sewing machine or anything. So that was one of the things on my work in progress list. So I got that check marked off. And the one right underneath it, which I was really hoping to have finished by the end of this month, is this poncho. So I'm hoping that I get it finished. If I don't get all of these squares sewn on today while we're hanging out with you live, I might just finish it up so that I can show it to you a little bit later. I really want to have this done by the end of February. I'm terrible for starting projects because I get so excited about them and I'm like, ooh, I want to see what that looks like and I can't wait to use that yarn. And then I don't get around to finishing it. I've gotten better because I try to be a little more organized and disciplined, but life happens. You get excited. You maybe, especially if you're like me and you're working on a big project, my rheumatoid can flare up. And so I can't put in the time on a bigger project like I can on a smaller project. So I'll put that bigger project aside. Like I said, I'm a little bit better now, but I still have a handful of those things on my work in progress organizer, and I'm really eager to be able to mark off another one. So that is helping keep me motivated, having a deadline staring me in the face every time I open up my little cupboard and I see that staring at me. I'm like, ah, yes, I need to work on that.
Excellent.
Mm-hmm. And to be perfectly honest, I am eager to have this finished. I love ponchos. I always love having a new poncho to kind of throw on. Especially when I feel like they're kind of a work of art. This one is really multicolored and wild. I just love it.
Katie, if you could find the ply video, that would be helpful. We were talking about the yarn ply.
What is ply? I think that's what it's called.
We called it, what is yarn ply? It's an old one.
Yeah, it was a quick tip.
Was it a quick tip? Yeah, because a few people were asking about that. So that's out there. It's just the old videos tend to get buried.
Yes.
Buried deep within the.
We've got
the YouTube
over 500.
The YouTube basement. The archives.
We've got over 500. Like there is so much out there now at this point.
We also have several videos on joining squares and making borders, because there was some conversation about that in the chat. So
yeah, I think we've touched on a lot of things now on the channel. If we've some things we've kind of done multiple versions of, but just about everything's been touched on.
So one of our channel members, Sherry, says, I usually hate making blankets, but am loving the mile a minute.
Because it's a mile a minute, baby.
I did both last month and this month's strip last night. Awesome.
So
well,
wonderful.
We're glad you're enjoying that.
Yeah, it's fast. Let's face it. It's a quickie.
It's quick.
I love to make blankets when I'm in the mood. I especially love to make baby blankets because they're small.
So we got a new member. A big welcome to Diane.
Hi, Diane.
Welcome to Alpaca. I got RTV, right?
Yes.
I think so.
Yes.
And we got a super chat from Sherry.
Thank you, Sherry.
And Sherry says, so Jayda doesn't have whips. She has UFOs.
Unfinished
objects. I like that.
I like that too. Yes, I definitely have some unfinished object. I guess they're technically objects. I've got this one, which it's getting there. I'm zipping along here. This is another reason that I love to hang out with you guys on a Friday, because I know that we all search for time to just work on those little projects that kind of pile up. They're not the super exciting ones. Maybe they're ones that don't require a whole lot of attention. And maybe, you just kind of want to just relax and put on something or listen to somebody chatter while you're working on something that doesn't require a lot of attention. But if it's just what you need to focus on, it's kind of boring. I'm hoping those are the projects you kind of have lying around that you can kind of pull in. You know what? I'm gonna finish that blanket while I'm sitting and we're all kind of hanging out here. I just love being able to work on something with you all and just hang out. Welcome the weekend. Hope the sun sticks around.
Got a little interesting tidbit from Jennifer.
Ooh.
Jennifer says, just curious, how many have pets that like to be with you when you are crocheting or knitting?
Aww.
My cat likes to be on the bed at my feet or my legs when I'm crocheting at night.
That's
so yeah, share in the chat.
Yeah.
What do your pets do while you're crocheting? Do they hang around? Do they chew on your yarn? Do they tap on your leg asking for food?
Yes. Are they? Mama's lady InStitches, Mama's cat.
Yes.
Is insistent that she is part of the project.
Participates. She wants to be weaved into the yarn.
Yes, she wants to be part of
it. Oh, we have another super chat from Monique.
Thank you, Monique.
Big thank you to Monique. Monique says, need to search for a project pattern that matches my yarn color and weight. LOL.
Cool.
Yeah. I guess you'd want to find, if you have a stash of specific yarn. You might want to find a specific project. That makes sense.
I find if I've got a kind of yarn that I want to use up, I spend some time with it. I know this sounds a little airy-fairy, but I'll pull it all out and I'll say, okay, how much do I have? What's it feel like? Do I like the feel of it against my skin? If the answer is yes, then I can say, okay, so wearable projects are on the table. If I feel it and I think, no, I don't like the feel of that, then I go, okay, non-wearable projects are on the table. Now, that doesn't mean that making it into something that it couldn't be sort of softened later with a little bit of hair conditioner or something. And if it's really, really pretty and it doesn't maybe wash really easily, let's like check the labels, make sure that if it's like, oh, dry clean only, then this has got to be a very special thing you save that yarn for. If it's, wash in the washing machine with cold water and then maybe air dry or something, you can be a little more lenient with your projects. But always like decide, do I like the color? Do I want to wear this color? Is this sort of something that I would like turned into a piece of decor for my house? Like, does this match my living room or something? Ask yourself some of those questions, and that will definitely help determine where you should start looking. Like, you know what, this would make a nice blanket or throw blanket, or maybe I need some new cushions because this is a crazy bright color, but I'd like a pop of it in my living room on the couch, stuff like that.
A big welcome to a new member, Pastor Marvell Whitley.
Well, hello.
Hello.
Welcome.
Welcome. Thanks for joining. Crochet with Vima says, my son is saying hi to Mr. InStitches. His name is Ruben.
Aww.
He would like to see him too, if possible. How do I look? Do I look scruffy?
You do, but it's cute.
Let me fix my hair.
At least in my humble opinion.
Come on. We all know you think I'm adorable.
I haven't. Now,
do I look presentable?
To be fair, Mr. InStitches needs a haircut, and I haven't given him a haircut in
Do I look presentable?
a few weeks. You do.
Should I go comb my hair or something?
I don't think that would help.
Should I put my hoodie on? You don't think that would help? All right, I'm going to pop in and say hi. As long as I don't have like a whole bowl of salad in my teeth.
No, or breakfast hanging off your chin. No, nothing.
Hi. Hi, Ruben. Hi, everybody.
I do need to give you a haircut, don't I?
I've been needing a haircut for like 3 months.
You know what it's like. You're like, I'll get to it this weekend.
You would just rather crochet than cut your husband's hair.
That's true.
We all know what's going on.
There's less cleanup with crochet.
A lot less cleanup. After you cut my hair, we could crochet a rug.
We could weave an entire rug.
Yes, we could.
This is my last square for this other side. So moving along at a pretty good clip here.
Yuki is on break. Yuki is trying to start a union here, and he's been put in.
He's in timeout.
He's been put in timeout.
He needs a good tuning.
He does.
We
haven't touched Yuki in a while.
No, I right now my wrists are kind of swollen, so I can't really hold them properly. Yeah, he needs to be tuned.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Ooh, he's way off.
My hair is curling.
Hey, well, what do you expect? That's why he was in timeout.
He definitely needs a good tuning. Yeah, I find.
Okay, go ahead.
I was just going to say that whenever I sit down to play it, like even if I tuned it the day before, it would still need a tuning the next day. I guess that's typical.
Well, it depends on the temperature and the humidity and all that stuff.
Yes.
But yes, pretty much regularly.
Yeah.
So I wanted to get to a super sticker we got from Debbie.
Thank you, Debbie.
So Debbie goes, hey, you.
Hi.
Thank you for the super sticker and a membership upgrade from Monique.
Thank you, Monique.
Welcome to Silk.
Oh, there's the next 5.
So to all our new members today, make sure you check out the community tab section of our channel homepage to see all the member posts.
Yes, the community tab. If you go to youtube.com/JaydaInStitches. Whether you're on a tablet or a phone or a computer, across kind of like the top of the page, not where the sort of the banner art is, but just below that, it'll say like videos, playlists, community. Community is one of them. And if you click on community, it'll show you all of the posts that we put up there. So public stuff and members only stuff. And that's the easy way to find it.
Yes, I'll put the link in the chat box.
So there's the opposite row that I just did. So now I'm on the opposite side and I'm going to connect these 5. So,
Crochet Every Day says, I just upgraded my membership, but it didn't show up in the chat. Oh, okay. Well, sometimes, you know, there's the odd little glitch.
There's a lot of odd little glitches.
Yeah. It could have to do with the speed of the internet.
Yep. It could just be delayed.
You'd have to double check where's the member information. It's on the same thing we just talked about.
There's memberships is also a tab there.
When you're signed in,
yeah,
you go to our channel homepage, you go to memberships, and that'll tell you what level you are, what the perks are, and all the information there. So we didn't see it, but thank you also for upgrading. We appreciate that.
Yeah, that goes for everybody watching. YouTube experiences glitches all the time, and they update their software constantly. So if you think something isn't right, or you didn't get a notification, or weird stuff is happening, I know it's annoying, but all you have to do is just go back and make sure that you're subscribed to the channels you know you subscribe to.
Actually, yes. Make sure you're subscribed.
Yeah.
Because there a lot of times the system unsubscribes people just randomly.
Yeah, it's maybe because, you know, it doesn't think that you've watched one of their videos recently, or I don't know what it's thinking, to be perfectly honest.
So make sure you're subscribed, and
so, and then you can always check, there's a little tiny notification bell icon at the top right corner of your page, no matter whether you're on a tablet or a phone or a computer. And if that little bell will have like a little dot next to it, it means you've got notifications. And if you click on it, it'll just show you everything that you are signed up for, all the little notifications that have sort of occurred to you since the last time you checked on that little area. So you can always check there.
Yes. And you know what? That reminds me, I wanted to mention this. We don't mention this regularly in our regular videos, but many people cannot ever find the description box. And we are always talking about the link in the description box. So do you want to explain to everyone how to find it when you're on a mobile device? Because that's when it's the trickiest.
Yes. And as somebody who literally uses YouTube every day for a variety of things, even I get confused. So if you're annoyed you can't find something, don't worry, it's not you. I recently realized that on at least on my phone, I have an Android, underneath the video. So unless you're looking at it sideways and where your entire screen is the video, you won't see anything. So you have to put it back up to portrait mode, so it's upright. And then the video is sort of playing at the top. Right underneath it, you'll see the title of the video. And next to the title, there'll be this infinitesimally small little
it's like
arrow.
The size of a pixel.
It's a little tiny, it's not even a full arrow. It's just like a little inverted V. It's gray too. Thanks very much. So if you're middle-aged, you might not even see it at all. So if you click that, so tap on it with your finger, that will bring up the description box, and all of the information's in the description box. It used to drop it down. Now it just brings it up. So they just keep changing everything.
To where your cup is. So you got to, that's exact, down further. You move your cup over.
There.
So point right here.
Here.
There you go.
Here.
There you go.
Here.
Right there. If you're on a mobile device and you're looking at it in portrait mode, right down in that corner, there's a tiny little arrow.
Yes.
You tap that and it opens up the description box.
And if that wasn't confusing enough, right underneath the title, and that arrow is next to the title, right underneath that, you'll see like the first little comment. So if people are leaving comments in the comment section, it'll be showing right there. So and there might be like a double arrow thing next to that. And if you click that, you'll get the entire comment section. So they're just trying to kind of make it all like what's that?
They're trying their best to put as much information under a video as they can, but it's
they need to tell us where to find things.
I think they need to make the arrows a lot bigger.
And maybe like a nice
I think they should
color.
have arrows pointing at the arrows.
I think they should make them bright colors. How are you supposed to see gray? Like, how is that helpful?
I know. It's not. It's not helpful at all.
I can't see it at all.
Okay, so we've got a bunch of new members to get to.
Oh my goodness.
But before I mention the new members,
welcome everybody.
I recently did a video
Yes, you did.
explaining everything that you just talked about.
Yep.
So I wanted to let everyone know, if they go to the Mr. InStitches channel,
Yes.
there is a
tech
little tech tutorial on how to do what Jayda just mentioned.
How to find the description box.
Yes, and it should be on the top, in the front, because it's one of the newest ones.
And you also did, if anybody's interested, a brief tutorial on how to turn on and off subtitles, also known as closed caption, because we get that question a lot too.
Yeah.
All of our videos are set up for closed caption or auto subtitles, and I'm sure you'll notice that sometimes if you've got the subtitles on, they say funny things, like they say Jayden Stitches. My name is Jayda, not Jayden, but they hear Jayda in Stitches. So, I mean, it's pretty great software. They keep improving it every single, every month. It's
actually getting better.
It's getting much better. But that's what auto generates subtitles, which are great, especially if you kind of want to watch something without the sound on.
Yeah. And
so all of our videos are set up for that. But you get to decide if you turn on the closed captioning or not. So Mr. InStitches did a quick video on how you can do that. And if just because you turn the closed captioning on one video doesn't necessarily mean the next video is going to play with it. So sometimes you have to do it, turn it on, turn it off for everything you watch. It's funny.
So big thank you to Katie. Yes. She found the title.
Thank you, Katie.
And we're going to have to give Katie a raise now, because now she's working for 2 channels. There are a handful of technical tips videos on there, if anyone would like to check them out, see if they're helpful. So going back to our membership, we got a little surge in members here.
Welcome everybody.
So I mentioned Monique upgrading to silk, right?
Yes you did.
Okay, so then we've got a big welcome to Brenda.
Hi Brenda.
Who has joined Alpaca. And we had one that disappeared.
I wish I could have like a real alpaca.
Someone either joined or upgraded to Vicuna, but it's gone. So I'm hoping that's not a glitch, but if it was, let us know. And the next one is Rhonda. Big welcome to Rhonda.
Welcome. Excuse me. I want to say it again. Thank you all for just hanging out with us on a Friday afternoon or a Friday evening or a Friday morning, whatever time it is, wherever you are. We are just chilling today, working on the poncho here or whatever work in progress we might have. And we're just welcoming in a weekend. And I can't believe it, but I still have like 2 sips of my coffee. That's how into this project I am. I haven't been guzzling my coffee.
I think I'm going to need more coffee later.
Might need more coffee later.
Yeah.
This is coming along nice. I've got.
It looks great.
I love these crazy colors. I know it's nuts, but I think once I get the final rows around the bottom, it'll provide a little bit of continuity to it.
Yes, friendly crochet creations upgraded to Vicuna.
So you saw it, but it disappeared.
So I saw it, and then it disappeared. So, thank you.
Thank you.
And welcome.
And I guess
we have monthly.
Maybe it just kind of like
we have monthly wallpapers.
Yes, we do for
Vicuna members.
Wallpapers you can put on your phone or your computer
or your computer or your tablet.
Or your tablet.
Yeah. Oh, and by the way, if you join later, like if you upgrade later, you can go back and select any one of those wallpapers that you like, and they're always available.
You're basically just scrolling backwards through the community tab for quite a while.
Through the timeline.
Yeah, the timeline. But it's all there. It doesn't disappear. So please feel free to check that out.
Hello to everyone. Welcome.
Making good progress here.
We got a lot of excited people that they were able to make the live.
Well, I'm so glad.
I know it's not easy all the time. We don't have a steady schedule because we try to find time when we can.
Yes, when we can. Also, weather and internet prevent.
Yes, we have. That's true. That's a whole other issue.
It was pretty dodgy last night. We were looking at each other going, "Oh dear, is this going to work out?" But here we are. So thanks very much for hanging out with us. And I know it's not the best visual.
When did we start streaming today? It was 12 noon.
12 noon Eastern.
So it was
Toronto time.
Just about an hour ago, a little over an hour ago.
And our streams turn into, they kind of stay up. So after a live stream, it sort of processes for a little bit, and then it sits there and it acts like a regular video. So if at any time, you have to take off, I understand, but you can always come back and sort of pick up where you left and watch the rest of it later if you want to.
Jayda is making a poncho.
Yep.
She's joining together a poncho from the squares that were made from our Granny Square game live stream.
Yes. If you're just getting here, if you're into Granny Squares, this is a Granny Square poncho layout printable. It's over on our website. It's free on the tools page. Mr. InStitches has the link for that.
Yes.
We've got several PDFs that are just handy. Print them out, put them in your project journals. I would keep this one with all of your Granny Square patterns because you can make Granny Square ponchos using any Granny Square pattern you like. And this is a neat way to use smaller Granny Squares. This talks basically about how you figure out how big to make them, how many you want, all of that good stuff. And that's what I'm doing. Here it is. Right now, I'm just sort of putting, we made all these crazy squares out of scraps. This is a really fun way to use up scrap yarn that you don't know what else to do with. I love making Granny Squares. They're just sort of they're a great way to use up scraps because you can use Granny Squares for so many things. All right, that was, let me get my needle out of the way. Okay, so this is the first 5 squares across one side. Then there's the middle, and then there's the other 5 squares across the other side. And now I'm just going to sew together the 3 that needs to be in the middle on the 2 middle sides, and I will connect them to these overhangs.
Looking good.
It'll make more sense when I get it. But if you're following along on the sheet, we're right here. So this is row 2, the diagram for row 2. There's your center neck hole. Row 1 are those 8 squares around the middle. And then row 2, what I'm working on right now, is the 16 squares around that. And that's almost done. I
also wanted to remind members that use Apple phones. You're not, is it the people that use iPhones that don't get the notifications of the community tab, or is it that they can't go to the members area? I can't remember.
It's the members tab on the iOS devices
isn't available.
Not the members tab, sorry, the community tab it's there, but you may not see anything in it because for some reason they're still trying to make that work.
Yes.
So
if you're a member and you use Apple, you have to any Apple device, you have to go to the website.
Yes.
And sign in on youtube.com.
Yes.
You can't use the app, right? It's something like that.
You can, if you're on your computer, you can see it. If you're a member.
Yeah.
But if you're using an Apple mobile phone or an Apple tablet, that is where you might not be able to see it. And there's just, I don't know what the problem is.
It's only, I think, on the app. But if you if you use an iPhone and you're an iPhone member, you can go to the website, YouTube. You can sign in and then you can see everything.
Yeah. So instead of using the YouTube app, you use your phone or tablet's internet browser.
That's right.
Go to YouTube using the internet browser.
So I just want to make sure
you can see it.
Everyone who's a member is seeing our member posts.
Yes.
Because we know that that's still going on. And as far as we know, YouTube is still working on that system.
We understand
if you have an Android device like a Samsung or a whatever other device, and then it just shows up.
Mm-hmm. So these are the middle 3 squares for the other 2
Yes,
sides.
thank you, Sakura. Sakura says, yes, you are correct about the YouTube app on iPhone. Yes, so I would like all of our members to know that if you're using an Apple device, go to the website on the browser, sign in there, and don't miss out on our member perks.
Yes, I just love how they have to make everything so complicated.
Everything is getting more and more complicated.
But we will try to keep you up to date as best as we can.
We're doing our best. Yeah. Yeah, see here from Shell, iPad has no community tab content. Yep, so it is still the same way it was like over a year ago.
Yes.
So
you do have to use
to clarify,
internet browser.
If you are a member and you use iPhones or iPads, don't use the YouTube app, use the YouTube website.
Yeah, use the website. Go to YouTube.
I mean,
just to see the membership content.
Only to see membership content.
Also,
you can use the app for everything else, of course.
You should be getting emails. Do you like is that still a thing?
Yeah, could you guys let us know if you're a member? Are you still receiving member post emails
from YouTube?
Because we're not sure if that's happening still.
Again,
please let us know.
It's just a constant update change.
We need constant tech checks over here. We have a great family. They're very helpful. So right away, we got a yes from Monique, a yes from Caroline, a yes from Pat. Okay, good. That's good to know. So then if you're an Apple user, you can still rely on the email notification. Yes. So that's good to know.
Yes. Excellent. Excellent.
Sakura says, yes, I get emails from YouTube. Sherry says, yes, I get them.
Beautiful.
Yay. That's good to know.
Okay.
Yeah, if you're on a Samsung device with Android, then there's no issues there.
Yes.
That's what we use, and we're able to check on that, but we're not able to check on the iPhone stuff.
Yes, we don't have any i stuff.
We used to have an i.
We used to have i stuff.
We went from iThing to Samsung thing.
Yes. All right. This is the
Sakura says sometimes a few don't come through, but I do get most of the emails.
Okay, good.
Yeah, we also noticed that sometimes there's the odd glitch. We won't see if we post a member's post. Like I won't see it pop up in my feed, mm-hmm. And I think that when that happens, it's just an algorithm glitch.
Sometimes it'll post twice too. Like there'll be two posts of the same thing.
Yeah,
that happens
I don't know
sometimes.
What's going on. What are you gonna do? Katie says if you're on a PC, it's the little keyboard on the right near the live chat box. So I guess Katie's answering a question here.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you, guys.
Thanks for helping each other out. We appreciate it.
Yes, actually, I want to just take a moment to thank everybody who's been helping each other with the mile a minute so far. So a lot of you have done the mile or have done calendar blankets along with us in the past, and know that there's a lot that sometimes I guess I'm forgetting to say. So a lot of people who are new to doing a calendar blanket along with us, who are doing the mile a minute with us this year, got to February and found that their strips were different sized to the January strip. So what I should have said is that that's possible. Mine even was shorter, but because we're doing a join as you go, it sorts everything out. And then at the end of the project, of course, we're going to block it, and that will just ease up stitches and stuff. But if you're there and you're and you see people still commenting, we did our best to try and sort of get back to everybody and reassure everyone, like, don't worry, it's going to work out. But we pinned a comment at the top of the February mile a minute tutorial, just sort of talking about gauge and ways you can address it, but just trying to reassure everybody that just go with the join before you do anything, before you start changing hook sizes or worrying about your yarn or whatever, because it will sort out a lot. Also, I'm going to mention it at the beginning of the March one, because the March one, they're all going to vary a little bit, but the join as you go is that magical crochet quality that just makes everything work together. So it will shrink what needs to be shrunk. It will stretch what needs to be stretched. And anything else it'll work itself out. And then at the end of the year, of course, we're going to just steam block it or wash and block, whatever you want to do. But that will ease everything out. So I kind of didn't realize when we were starting with this year's calendar blanket that we might have a whole bunch of people who are new to doing something like this and mixing stitches together. And often when you mix stitches together, as any of you who did the Victorian stitch sampler along with this will remember, sizing can really change when you're changing up your stitches because your tension changes, you move faster. Sometimes that makes you tighter, sometimes that makes you looser. But I don't want anyone stressing out about it. It is all going to work out. And so if you see anybody kind of talking about that or referencing it or worrying or for heaven's sakes thinking they did something wrong, no one's done anything wrong. So as long as you've got the right number of rows, it's going to be fine. And if you feel like you're just too tight, then you can always go up a hook size or two. That won't hurt anything. If you feel like you're way too loose through going out through the rest of the year, maybe you get the strip that you think is just ridiculous, then you can go down a hook size. So you can always play with your own gauge, but there's fixes all along the way. The join makes everything make sense. And then at the end, we're just going to smooth it all out with some blocking. So, so if you see people worrying anywhere, please try and reassure them. Because it works. It works. A lot of people actually it was fun. People were saying, oh my gosh, did I do something wrong? And then they were editing their comments and going, oh wow, I just went ahead and did the join and it worked out. And I'm like, yes.
Yeah, that helps. Answering comments. Feel free to answer comments under the videos.
I know, because a lot of you have been here longer than other people, and you kind of know how we work, and we can't remember to say the same thing every single time.
It's hard to get to all of them.
Yes.
But also tech tips. If you know what button to tap or what thing to press, then feel free to share that too.
Yeah. And a lot of you do that, and I just want to thank you all so much for helping out, because it really is. We can't get to the comments the second they're posted. So if you get to them before we do, because you see that somebody needs help or they're looking for a video and you know it, please feel free to help them out. We really appreciate it. And like we say, it's a community here. We're all trying to just sort of help each other out and have fun with this hobby that we all love so much. So thank you to everybody who has done that. And please feel free to jump in if you know the answer, because you're more than welcome to.
So people were looking for deals on yarn.
Yes.
Bree just announced that someone called Darn Good Yarn is having a 75% off clearance sale.
Whoa.
So, if you're looking for cheap yarn, then go check that out.
Is that online?
Yeah, I think that's online.
Darn Good Yarn. Ooh.
I guess it's a website.
Darn Good Yarn. I like that.
And Katie would like you to know that she is 831 days without the seizure.
Excellent.
Oh, fantastic.
Let's celebrate. Is that Madonna?
Yeah, we need the, what do you call it? The confetti. Woohoo!
That's amazing.
That's streamers.
Almost remission territory. That's awesome.
Excellent.
Sweet. I am now, okay, sure. Oh yeah, here we go. So, overhang square. There's 3 squares in the middle, and this is what I'm stitching my new 3 squares to. So let me make sure I'm on the right side. That's the right side. Okay. So that's the right side. As this gets bigger, it needs more space to work upon, and I'm a little bit jammed for space here. That's the front. Okay, here we go. So I'm just matching up the middle square and then the side square. Oh, perfect. Okay, here we go. Now, what did I do with my needle? Oh, here it is. I should really actually just tuck this into my sweater. All right, that is the...
Mandy says that a few weeks ago, she was able to get 50% off a bunch of yarn at Michael's.
Ooh, 50% off. Yeah. Holy smokes. That is a good deal. I am not sure if Michael's has reopened around here.
I believe, as far as I know from recent, it's curbside pickup.
It's still curbside?
Yeah. I mean, the last time we checked, it was weeks ago. But
I know
I think it's more or less the same right now.
I think they're starting to kind of lighten things up in some places. So
recently,
I don't know. I can't keep track of it. It's very confusing.
It is very confusing.
Maybe I should. You know what? I'm going to do this a little bit differently. Here I go on the fly. Okay, so this is what I want to do. if I do that, nope, no, I am going to just do this. Okay, I know I'm going to just tuck this so I don't lose my needle. I'm tucking it into my sweater. Smart thing to do if you're moving around a lot of squares in a small place, you don't want to lose your needle. So I often just, I make sure when I'm working, especially in the winter, if I have a sweater on with a loose stitch, I'll just literally put it right through my sweater so that it doesn't hurt my sweater and I know where it is. So this is what I'm doing. This is the middle side, so the 2 shorter sides, and I've done 2 longer sides, and I'm sewing on the 3 squares that I just sewed together. And I'm going to sew them right sides together, and then when that's done, I'm going to sew the little seams between the overhang squares. So I was thinking I might do like a U shape of sewing, but I think that might be a bit more complicated than it needs to be. So I'm just going to sew straight lines. Whenever you're sewing together any kind of motif, go for the simplest, straightest lines first. So I typically do square, square, square to make one long line, and then I sew long lines together. So try to go for the straightest lines. That's usually the easiest. And you don't have to worry about funny angles and stuff. So here we go. I'm going to keep most of this in.
We'll have to make sure. I just realized how beautiful that poncho is turning out.
So pretty.
We'll have to make sure we get some good photos.
Some really nice photos,
so everyone can see it.
Yeah, we'll definitely do that.
Yeah,
because we'll do a proper
on our little squirrel-sized live stream, it's kind of hard to get the whole picture.
It is. Yeah, we'll definitely do like a proper reveal, some proper pictures.
We'll do some proper photos and show everyone how it turns out.
Maybe if I get this done before all of our snow melts, we'll have some pretty pictures to take in the snow too.
That would be nice.
That would be nice. Right. So far, so good. When you're working on a heavier project, like a blanket or a poncho like this, and you tend to, I don't know if you're like me, you like to kind of work in your lap or work sort of, close to your face. I don't know if if the rest of you are like that. It could just be because I'm getting short-sighted. I'm not sure. But I find I will do a little bit of work and then maneuver the thing and a little bit of work. And I try to keep most of the project. So I'm going to just show you what I'm doing here. There's a lot of weight here. So I try to bunch it all up so that it sits lightly and loosely, but on my lap so that I'm not constantly trying to I don't have the weight of it sort of yanking it from one side or the other, because A, that hurts my wrists, and B, it's just easier to kind of like move little sections of it. So I tend to keep the whole thing kind of like underneath itself, like a bit of a mushroom. I'm creating a bit of a mushroom with all that fabric so that it sits light, and the work area is sort of light and flexible up top, and everything else is just sort of sits underneath it and provides a bit of like support, I guess, so that I don't have to keep, working from too great a distance away.
Creatively Created Crochet says, I am going to get my husband to try to make a poncho. He has mastered the granny square.
Hey, all right. Well, all he needs to do is stitch together.
Break out the streamers.
That's cool.
That's really amazing. Cool.
Yes, absolutely.
So we got a power couple.
A power crochet couple.
A power crochet couple.
Love it. Love it.
Yes, definitely make your husband do the poncho.
Especially if he's made a whole pile of squares and he doesn't know what else to do with them.
Yeah.
And, you're kind of sick of blankets. This is pretty much like building a blanket. It's just that there's a one square missing in the center.
Yeah, that's true. Diane asks, Jayda, is your yarn size 5?
I've got size 4 and a little size 5 in this project because I was really using up scraps. There's really, when you're mixing scraps together in a project like this, mixing together 3s, 4s, or 5s is fine. Especially since, a lot of yarns in different weight categories, they kind of spill into the category on either side of it. Like some size 4 yarns will be almost a size 5 because they're really thick. Other size 5s compress quite a bit. look fluffy and thick, but they actually aren't too thick, or they compress down to a size 4. So a lot of it comes down to feeling it with the hook you're using. If you're using a smaller hook, the difference between yarn weights will be more obvious. If you're using a larger hook, it'll be less obvious. But if you want a consistency, because that's important to you, then you want to try and stick to the same weight category. But if you are really just going for a, come what may kind of look, kind of like I am here, then you can mix in different yarns. I did, however, have a size 3 at some point that I felt was just too thin. So I just paired it up with another size 3, and that gave it enough thickness that it worked properly with the rest of my yarns. And if you have yarn that you feel is a little on the thick side, you can just crochet a little tighter with it, and it'll make your stitches a bit smaller so that they size neatly with the ones on either side of it. It depends on the project. If you're being really, really, if you're really, really conscious about how the thickness kind of translates into the stitches, then you can be more disciplined about the weight category you stick to. But in this case, I'm really just using up whatever scraps I had lying around.
Alice says, hi guys, we are finally thawing out here in Central Texas.
Woo!
I am loving y'all. We have power. All right.
Thank goodness. I hope everybody's
good. We've been watching all that
very scary
all
weather
that news
activity
coming from Texas. We hope everyone is okay and safe and warm.
It's frightening. Yes.
It's very scary when you lose power for more than like a day.
It's also very scary when it's not common to get a lot of cold weather for a significantly long period of time.
Yeah.
Not everybody's used to that. We were just talking about it actually last night, and people were mentioning that those of us who have to deal with deep freeze know that sometimes you have to turn on a tap. If your power goes out and your heat goes out, you have to turn on a tap so that your water drips, so that your pipes don't freeze and then blow on you. But not everybody who deals with deep freezes and power outages would necessarily know that. So if you do know anyone who's still without power and is worried about their house cooling rapidly, please remind them to just turn their faucets on. Just one faucet, I think, is enough. Maybe 1 or 2, depending on how big the house is, so that there's just a little bit of a drip of water coming out, and that'll keep the water flowing, and you won't end up with freezing, blowing pipes, because that is not something you want.
Yes.
But that's only if the power's out and the house is cooled down too much. Very scary. Gosh, I hope everybody's okay. We get that every once in a while.
It sounds like they're, from what I've been reading in the chat and also seeing in the news, it sounds like they're getting sections of power back. But it's been almost a week. That's a really long time to be without heat.
We had a horrific ice storm years ago here, really, really bad. And we were without power and heat and all that other stuff. And of course, if you live rurally and you're on a well, that means you're without water too, because the power usually powers your well pump. So you can be really, really in trouble. But we were without power for 3 days, I think.
Yes.
And it was brutal. It was terrible. We were just going nuts. It was we were so cold and we were so freaked out, and they were having trouble getting to the roads because it was just so bad. Super ice storm. It was terrible. They were really asking people to stay in and don't go anywhere. And of course, there was no way to cook. There was no way to have a hot shower or anything, or just get warm. And oh my gosh, I've never been so grumpy in my life.
Jayda without coffee. Woo.
Without coffee, hot shower, back. And it didn't matter how many sweaters I had on. That bone-chilling cold.
Jayda without coffee and without a shower. Stand back.
Complete monster.
Also, Mr. InStitches without coffee and without a shower.
Yeah, let's be honest. Neither one of us
leave the room.
That was not a happy weekend. Oh my gosh.
But how good was that coffee at Tim Hortons?
When we finally found
day
one.
4, what is it, day 3 or day 4?
So we went out.
It was like, oh.
We went out and couldn't find anybody open, and we went home, and we were just like, when we finally were able to go out, we went out, couldn't find anyone that was open and functioning.
No one had power.
Nobody had power. So we went home and we just sort of stared at each other, kind of freaked out. And then I think we tried it again the next day, and we found a Tim Hortons that was open and had coffee. And we got a coffee, and it was the first coffee we'd had. It was the first warm anything we'd had in 4 days. And we just sat in the car, like holding this cup of sunshine, basically. It was the tastiest coffee I've ever had.
Everyone send out warm wishes and warm thoughts to everyone from Texas.
Yes.
We're seeing some people showing up in the chat from Texas.
Hey.
So it looks like power is slowly coming back, which is good to know.
It's a scary thing, man. I mean, I'm making some jokes about us having been without power, but I know how scared we were at the time too, especially if you don't have alternative heat sources or you can't get out. It's frightening.
Yeah.
So I really feel for everybody down there. It's not pleasant at all.
I'm sending some heat in the chat.
Heat, love, and love, hugs, and sunshine.
Keeping it warm, keeping the chat warm.
All right. What are we doing here?
There was a question I wanted to share with you. Let me see if I can find it. The poncho.
Okay. That's helpful.
But I kind of lost it in the chat here. Oh, here we go. It's from Deborah.
Hey, Deborah.
Deborah asks, what needle are you using to sew in the ends?
This, I don't know how clear you can see it, is a wool needle. Sometimes I think they're called yarn needles, but mostly I know them as wool needles. So it's an aluminum shaft with a plastic, typically plastic, loop eye. So a very simple, Mr. InStitches will help me out here. Now, I get questions about this
all the time. If I hold it against your sweater, it's visible.
Is it visible?
It's not very clear though. Come here. There we go. So I'm spinning it. There we go.
We have a video on these and all the places you can find them, but just quickly, mine are by H.A. Kidd. I bought them. They come in a pack of 3. I bought them probably 25 years ago at a craft store. That's how good they are.
Mm-hmm.
And I use them literally every day. You can get Knitter's Pride wool needles. You can get Love Knitting wool needles. That is the Walmart brand. I've seen them at Walmart. You can get Pony wool needles, really pretty ones that are all different colors depending on the sizes. Amazon carries, depending on where you are, Amazon carries Pony and Knitter's Pride and another one. Clover, I think, makes a set. I would also support Clover because Clover makes great stuff.
I think we have
Clover's out of Japan, I think.
Steel hooks. I think we have some affiliate links here.
Yes, we do. And I think they're for Pony, which are the really pretty ones. That's my next set that I want. I want the pretty aluminum ones. They're like all different colors. They're great. If you have trouble threading your yarn, squishing it and threading it through the eye of a darning needle, then wool needles are just
I'm not sure.
amazing. You can also do,
those are the right ones.
Depending on where you are, you can also do an internet search for loop eye wool needle knitting. Those are the keywords that you want to put in the search box, and all sorts of things will pop up. And then I would shop online from the places you're comfortable with. So it changes wherever you are. But actually, we do know that Amazon carries some.
I don't think we have the wool needles here, but we do have them on our website. If you go to the shop page, the ones Jayda uses, we have a link to them there.
That is the...
I can't find the link.
The front? Yes, this is the one I want to do. Okay. So now I'm just stitching up the edge between... Do this. I'm just stitching up the edge between the two sides so that I'm basically trying to, I'm not even sure how to explain this. This is why I have a diagram. Okay. So these corner squares are the overhangs, and these 3 in the middle are separate from these 5 that are attached. So now I am sewing this seam. Where's my needle? I am sewing this seam between this overhang square and this one. So I'm sewn together. I've sewn everything to the first row, And now I'm just doing this one little seam right here between this square and this square. So that's what I'm doing. And I'm going to do it on the other side too. That's why we did a diagram.
There you go.
Yes, the wool needles.
Yeah, I'm putting the link to our website. I can't find the direct link, but I've got the link to our website, and then you go to the shop page, and then you'll see them there.
Yes. Sometimes they're at your local craft store in the yarn section.
I mean, Walmart has them.
I've seen them at Walmart. Not. I haven't been there recently.
I don't know what the I don't know what the quality is.
No, I haven't bought them, but they do. I mean,
if you bought these 25 years ago, the chances are they're better made.
Well, H.A. Kid, and so H.A. Kid with 2 D's, and Clover make some of the best tools I've ever used. Mm-hmm. And I've had a chance to use different ones. Knit Picks makes really nice stuff too. I've recently become better acquainted with them. I haven't had any time to use any Knit Picks needles. But like I said, these are H.A. Kid. I got a set of 3 25 years ago. I use them every day. I mean, you've seen them in our videos for I don't know how long.
Basically, you search for wool needle.
Wool needle.
Yeah.
Yeah. Loop eye wool needle. And you'll recognize them when they pop up on the screen.
So one of our channel members is named Dawn. Asks Jayda, I am loving your poncho to bits. What kind of yarn did you use for each square? It is beautiful.
It is all acrylic. So I've mixed together all these acrylic yarns that I had. You know what? It's easier just to show you these. So you'll probably recognize these from the Granny Square game. I think the majority of this yarn is Bernat. Bernat, size 4, medium weight, acrylic. I used some twists. That's these colors that sort of look like there's 3 colors sort of twisted together in one. I used some Bernat Chunky. The chunky, Bernat Chunky older yarn it's classified as a size 5, but it sort of compresses to a size 4. So I was using that. There's a little bit of Red Heart here and there. It's basically all size 4, medium weight acrylic yarn. And the majority of it's Bernat, like I said, because I think that's the most that I have, just because of what I've been collecting over the years. Nearly all of it is discontinued because it's just stuff I had in my stash. I never wound up doing anything else with it. So it was really nice to just be able to compile it all into a single crazy sweater, scarf, or poncho. And we made these granny squares doing the Granny Square game. So in order to get these really pretty different sort of yarn designs, these are all different colors, all work together, but in a random fashion based on the Granny Square game. We have a playlist. So if you want to check out the Granny Square game, watching us play it, we generally play it live. So we did a bunch of live streams where we played it, and you can see how they come together, and you can try it yourself. And every single time you will get a unique Granny Square. It is just so much fun. We played a little bit of it last week, actually.
We did in part 1 of this poncho build. Is anyone making the poncho along with Jayda? I'm curious. Or the squares?
This is you know what, the sewing takes a little bit of time, but it doesn't take forever. So I'm glad that I'm sewing. I feel like I always have a little bit more control when I sew. I kind of can see where I'm putting the needle.
Pat is working on it. Awesome.
Ta-da! Aha, there we go. So there is a proper corner now.
Looks great.
I don't know if you can see that.
Yes, we can.
So that's
you can see the corner and a bit of the neck hole.
And here is, so now it's getting longer. It's still a little bit unput together. I still have to put 3 on the other side. But before I do that, I need to seam this edge together. So you can see where there's an edge here. I need to seam this edge together. So I got to make sure I put right side to right side. Those look like the right side. Is that the right side? Yeah.
Rebecca is working on the squares. Sakura is following along. Awesome.
It's fun to just, I don't know. I find this is good for my mental health. I love to
stitching yarn.
I love to make something pretty out of a bunch of cast off things. That always makes me like, that delights me somehow.
Franca would like us to play the game again. It makes her laugh.
Yeah, it makes me laugh too. If I can get this completed in a decent amount of time, we'll play maybe a couple more rows because I still have to finish the hood. I do have everything right here. We'll just see how we go. Excuse me. I don't want to make any mistakes. Sometimes I get excited, especially when I'm sort of talking to you all and I'm also sewing and I'm crocheting, and then I realize that I've, gone up some crazy angle. I've sewn the wrong thing together. This is looking nice. I like it. I like it. I'm also trying to decide if I'm going to line the hood. I feel like this will be pretty warm. I know that it's got it's the granny shell stitch, so it's got like little spaces and stuff in between the shells, but the yarn itself is pretty warm. So I don't think, and typically when you've got a poncho on, you're wearing it over top of something else. That's another thing I like about ponchos. You can have on some pretty bulky clothes and then still put a poncho on over top. I like that. It's like wearing a blanket. These are great for sitting around the bonfire or, just going for a wander in the woods or something, or just a walk outside. These are great. I also, when it's really cold, I don't know if it's like this where you guys are, but when it's really cold here, even though we've got the heater on, it can just feel damp. Like it just kind of gets into your bones. And if you're sitting for a long time, like if you're working from home and you're just sitting at your desk and you're working for a long time, oh my gosh, you can get so cold. Your hands and your feet can become little bricks of ice. So I find having a poncho to throw on helps. When I would be in the office, I would keep a poncho or a shawl on the back of my chair because the same thing would happen to me at work sometimes in the office. Okay, so there's the other one. So now I just need to do the other three sides. Okay. So I have 3 more squares I need to sew together, and this is going to be the other side. So where am I at? Where's my needle? Here we go. So I've just sewn this seam here, and I've sewn the other seam here. And now I have to sew these 3 squares together and then attach them to row 1 and then sew these little seams between the overhang squares and those 3 squares. And then I'm done row 2.
Moving along.
And here's my yarn. All right. This is good. And if it wasn't for being able to sit down and live stream with everybody and just hang out on a Friday afternoon, this poncho would not be getting finished. I know myself. I'd be like, ooh, I think I'll start a new project.
Yeah.
It's funny. It's like, I really want to see it done. I want to see it done. So why don't I just work on the project? I don't know. I want to start something new. What is that? What is that about us?
We love new things.
We do. We love new things. We love starting something new. It's exciting.
It's embedded in our human DNA.
I guess so, yeah. So it's not my fault, is what you're saying.
No,
I'm not.
You're off the hook.
It's not that I'm like disorganized or
We're all off the hook, all of us. Everyone in the chat, everyone in the live stream.
Sweet.
Yuki's off the hook.
Everybody's off the hook. Literally off the hook.
Even, you know what? I'm feeling so generous that even the troll and the squirrel are off the hook today. Because even they have, even they like new things.
They do. They like new things.
Yeah.
They like new nuts.
Even the troll likes to sit down once in a while with a cup of warm coffee or, hot chocolate.
True.
Take his shoes off, rest his feet by the fire. Even the troll and the squirrel, everyone needs a little chill time.
It's true. Everybody needs a break.
Everyone needs a break.
Now I'm picturing like a squirrel.
Even that jerk troll.
With the pool noodle.
With the pool noodle. Joy asks, is Jayda still adding the hood to the poncho?
Yes, the hood is right here. I still have to finish the second large side and then do all that stitching and stuff. So if we have time today, kind of keeping an eye on the clock, I really wanted to get row 2 attached to the poncho. And then if we have time, we'll work a little bit on the hood. If not, we'll just continue on at a later date. It's okay. Nobody needs to rush here, she said, zipping along as quickly as she could with her sewing needle. I'm not rushing. I'm just excited. I'm like, the second you start to see it coming together, you know, I find that kind of speeds me up. I get all kind of wrapped up in it. But yeah, and of course, like I said last week, you can do this kind of a poncho construction in any order. You can, you know, make row 1 and then add the hood. You can make the entire poncho and add the hood later. You can make the whole poncho and, you know, add length to it by working along the bottom, then add a hood. You can not add a hood. You can put on a collar instead. Like you can, there's a lot of things you can do with this kind of a concept, but you don't have to do it all in a specific order. You can just sort of, I feel like working on row 2 today, or I feel like making the hood. Any order you like. Okay. There we go. So these are the last 3 squares of row 2. So the idea is to stitch them all together in a row and then stitch them onto the side of row 1 and then sew up the seams between the other 2 sides of row 2. So I'm making good progress here.
Franca says, watching you sew is weirdly calming.
Oh, good.
That's good. Calming is better than, you know, stressing everyone out.
Yes, nobody wants to be stressed out. Well, you know, this is the thing. I really enjoy these live streams because we can kind of hang out. It's like having a little virtual get together. You can work on one of the projects you're working on. You've got a little bit of company. It's nice to have some company.
Yes.
And you get something done. So you're kind of hanging out. You're sort of feeding your soul, and you're also doing something that you can be proud of afterwards. And I love that. That's a nice combination of things.
Kelly is adding caramel hot cocoa with whipped cream to her combination.
Oh my gosh.
Maybe that's a combination we should add.
That sounds like something I should have all afternoon.
Our day. All afternoon, all day long.
That sounds so good. Yum.
Jayda made Rice Krispie squares last night.
I love
it. And strangely, some of them lasted till this morning.
Yes, oddly enough. It's because I made like a super big batch.
And they made a really awesome breakfast.
Breakfast of champions.
Rice Krispie squares.
They were really good. Nice for the coffee.
Yes.
Okay, so that's those 3. Just leave that in. And all right, so that's the last 3 squares of row 2. I'm now going to, so take those 3. That's these guys down here. And I'm going to sew them to row 1 and then sew up the 2 little seams on either side. So almost on row 2. Which is all the granny squares I'm going to put in this granny square poncho. Okay, now I have to figure out where to put it. So
JC says, next time we do the granny square game, I should be making the squares. So I guess you should be running the board.
That would
the board and the wheel.
But you should be
Can you imagine what that poncho would turn out looking like?
I think it would be. What would that look like?
Interesting.
It would be interesting.
Hey, we got a super chat.
Hey, thank you.
Big thank you to Tori.
Hi, Tori. Thank you.
Tori says, after my 2 surgeries this past year, I am going to have to go back to work soon.
Oh.
I will miss these special moments and our time together. It was very helpful in my time of healing. Love you guys.
Well, I'm glad to hear that you are back up and running. That's good. It's kind of a bummer that you have to go back to work.
Yes.
But at the same time, it's nice to have a job to go back to.
Yep.
So there's sort of
there's something to be said about, interacting with humans again.
That's nice, I have to say. Yeah.
There is good to that.
We're glad we can help you through it. I know recovery can be a long, arduous process. So
yeah.
But there's always it's good to come out the other end.
You'll have to catch the reruns, Tori.
Yes. I don't know how busy you are at work. You could just sort of have us on in your ears.
You could hold your phone under your jacket and kind of sneak watch.
You're such a bad influence.
You could sneak watch us while you're at work. Don't tell your boss.
Yeah, don't tell your boss. Oh, this is good. This is like the home stretch. I feel row 2 is coming to an end.
KT says, I'm currently joining my 2 MMAM strips.
Wonderful.
Yellow and aqua for January and hot pink and lime green for February.
Ooh, yes.
So fun.
Love it.
We have an emoji for our MMAM.
It's going to be really pretty.
It's kind of small.
It's a little bit there.
It's a highway. It's a road. Ripping down the road.
It's a mile.
A mile. It's a mile. And there's a minute behind there somewhere.
All right, I gotta bust out some more yarn. What do we got? Oh, more of the same. Perfect. Whoop. Okay, don't want to lose my needle, so needle goes in here. I'm gonna bunch this up so that it sits up for me to there. See, sits on its own. Now I'm not gonna lose my spot. Got some more yarn. Using up those oddballs, little bits and pieces. I have so many of these. You guys have this. This is the leftover of who knows what. I made something an eon ago, and I have so many of these. And nobody wants to throw anything out.
Everyone's chiming in on how to sneak watch us at work. So here's a really good one from Katie. You can run the earbud up through your shirt and hide it in your hair if you have long hair.
Oh, so
you could listen like a podcast.
Yes.
While your phone is kind of hidden in your pocket or something.
Typically during our live streams, we don't have anything that's too visual heavy because we know that the quality isn't brilliant. So yes, you could do that.
You can. We would have to maybe describe a little more what's going on. Yeah. So I'm going to practice.
Okay.
Jayda is currently putting a yarn needle through pieces of yarn that are shaped like a granny square. She's going through them very quickly. I can barely keep up with the words. She's sewing, what do you call this type of sewing?
This is whip stitching.
She's whip stitching and sewing with her yarn needle. And the yarn that she is using is a burgundy acrylic.
Yes.
How am I doing?
Very good.
I'm practicing for the podcast version.
I was going to say you're practicing for the Crochet Olympics, Hi, Frank. It's really good to be here.
It's really good to be here. Jayda's using a yarn needle, and she's going a mile a minute.
Frank, I think that's an HA Kid yarn needle. I understand that's her preferred yarn needle of choice. Mike, I think that's actually called a wool needle, if you want to be specific. That color comment.
I'll do the...
the color commentary.
Yeah. That was good. Maybe,
now you have to hold some
stats. Do the comment.
Now, I understand you can get about 10 stitches to the minute.
I understand that you can order a pack of 3 of those, and I understand that you can get 10 stitches within 1 minute. Frank, there's fluff everywhere. I'm seeing fluff all over the place. I've never seen Jayda go so fast. This is going to be a record this year.
And then you got to start quoting stats that don't make any sense, like 4-0 in a 3 scant.
A 3 mm 4-0 MAM CP C to C CRV Q9. What are all the crochet terms? MAM C to C
MAM C to C
WIP a whip.
Yep, UFO.
Jayda's whip stitching the stitch whipper
with a.
Did she just perform a stitch whipper? Wow, a triple stitch whipper. I'm making stuff up now.
Not bad.
Jayda for the win, says Crafty Chats.
That would be funny. That would be funny. A common crochet commentary.
Katie would like to see a granny square version of a mermaid tail blanket.
A mermaid tail blanket.
Whoa. That would be a mega project.
Yeah, those take up a lot of yarn.
You'd have to stock up on yarn. You'd be making many squares.
Yes. Yeah, the mermaid tail blankets
sew it together in
are
pieces.
Almost like they're almost
like a costume.
It's almost like double what you'd want for a regular blanket because
because you're wrapping
it's
around.
like a sleeping bag kind of.
It's like a sleeping bag.
Like a half-size sleeping bag. Yeah.
And how far would that go up? Would that go to your waist?
I guess it depends on the style you make, and whether you're making it for like an adult or a kid. They're great if you don't have to get off the couch. You don't have to go to the bathroom. You don't have to go grab the phone. They're only good if you don't actually have to move for the next several hours.
Katie's thinking of it as a scrap buster.
A scrap buster.
Yeah.
For sure. I like anything cozy.
Cozy is good.
Cozy is good. Yeah, when you live in a country that has like 7 to 8 months of cold weather.
Yeah. You'd have to remember you're wearing it though, because if you're one of these people that launches off the couch.
That's me. That's me.
You would be on your face, flat on your face in no time.
Flat on your face or through the coffee table. One or the other. That would be me.
I'm picturing you in the air, Superman style, but wearing a mermaid tail.
And it crossing my face.
Like a coffee cup or a plate, like flying through the air in slow motion. Full, of course, not empty,
yes,
full.
Yes.
And working its way towards, the kitchen or the tiles. You can just hop around, Katie says. I guess you could.
Yeah, I suppose.
That would work.
If you're coordinated. I am not very coordinated anymore, so.
With little squares.
They are cozy though. You know what's great about mermaid blankets and sort of something similar? When you're on the couch and you're cuddling with a blanket, your feet fall out. You shuffle around and like side of your leg gets bared because the blanket moves or something. So that's what I do like about those mermaid blankets is that once you're into them, your feet aren't going to get cold. Nothing's going to fall out.
We're getting requests for a crochet commentary video.
And you have to do it. You
do the crochet, I'll do the commentary.
I'll do the crochet, you do the commentary. And I'll try not to laugh.
It's a beautiful day here at so-and-so stadium. Jayda is getting
in the craft room.
And ready in the craft room, getting warmed up and ready with the wool needle. She's going to be doing a stitch whip stitcher, third incarnation of the jump slip 997. Wow, Frank, has that been done before? This will be the first time it's ever been attempted. She will be stitching 2 granny squares together at the same time. Wow.
Frank, do you even know what you're talking about? No, but does it sound good? It does.
Notice both the commentators are named Frank?
Yes, both are. That's funny.
I think that's intentional.
That's funny.
Are you serious, Frank? Yes, Frank. That was the best thing. That was the best flip I've ever seen.
Can I be Frank? Of course, Frank.
Frank, can I be Frank? Yes, you can, Frank. Be frank with me, Frank.
Oh my gosh, I love that. Okay. Frank, can I be Frank?
We got a super sticker.
Geek humor. Yay.
Yeah, we're totally nerding out.
Yes.
This is nerd humor.
Yes, you're listening to what happens to us when we
You are listening to Nerd Humor.
You're listening
with Jayda and Mr. InStitches.
Nerd humor.
Thank you for tuning in today. So we got a super sticker from Dawn.
Thank you, Dawn.
Big thank you. And it is our little pear friend.
Aww.
Blowing you kisses.
Aww. Mwah! I would totally kiss my hand, but I don't want to get moisturizer all over it.
I'm a huge fan of the whip stitcher, stitch whip.
The
whip stitcher, stitch whip. There's
a lot to be said for the stitch witch or whip stitch, if you can say it.
If you can score a stitch whip or whip stitch with a wool needle on a 3/9/80 3/4 9/4.
It sounds like you're commentating crochet and skateboarding at the same time.
touchdown.
Touchdown. What would a crochet equivalent of a touchdown
Fluff
be?
everywhere. Yes, there is fluff everywhere. This is a very
fluffy.
This is an epic round here.
Yes, this is quite a lot of fluff. What? That's a great question for everybody. What is the crochet equivalent of a touchdown? Is that like a fasten off? Is that a?
That's a really good question. Let's see what comes back in the chat.
There's got to be some football fans out there.
Yeah. So. What is the crochet equivalent?
What's the crochet equivalent
of a touchdown? Fasten off. If it's a fasten off, it would be at.
Maybe finishing the weaving in. I'm trying to figure out
the weave finish.
Well, see now the touchdown doesn't necessarily mean the end of the game.
Yeah, it doesn't mean the end of the game.
It's just like a big score. So what's
the completion of a row?
Maybe a row or
how about the
playing yarn chicken and winning? That's a touchdown.
Playing yarn chicken and
winning. Am I going to have enough to finish this row?
You're not sure if you're going to have enough.
And then you do with like just that much to spare, and you're like, yes!
Yeah.
You do that little dance in your chair.
You literally have to do the touchdown dance.
You throw your hook down, and you're like,
just blow the roof off the house. Like, yes. We got a super chat from Kelly.
Hey,
Kelly says, love you guys. Let's make a Molly Weasley sweater, please.
A Molly Weasley sweater.
A Molly Weasley sweater. We're going to have to
look that
up.
Mrs. Weasley, I think. Is that Molly? Yeah, that's Molly.
Are you talking about Weasley from Harry Potter?
Harry Potter, yes.
Now, are you talking about like the one that's used in the movie?
Yeah, good question. The one in the movie or the one that's
illustrated
described in the book? Or
yeah, let us know, Kelly. But that's a great idea.
Yes.
We love Harry Potter.
Molly Weasley uses her scraps because she's got all those children that she's
okay, let me read out some of the ideas because this is great. So this is the equivalent to a touchdown.
Putting my chair back a bit.
But crochet. So Katie says hook drop.
Hook drop.
Yours truly says I like hook drop. Tori says blocking project is the end.
Blocking project.
Oh, blocking. Yeah, blocking.
Having it like completed on the counter.
Okay, let's see here. Jolene is asking people for their favorite crochet books. So if you have favorite ones, share that in the chat for Jolene. Yarn off.
Yarn off.
Fasten off.
Fasten off.
Let's see here. Oh, they're coming in. They're coming in quick. When you score a huge cart full of yarn on special. That's a touchdown. That's a touchdown.
Boy,
that's good, yeah.
Wow, this is still
FO for finished off.
Finished off.
Or finished object. Bind off.
Wow, this is a lot bigger than I thought it was going to be.
Hey, looking good. Nice.
I got some little ends to weave in.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh.
Step to the left.
Step to
do like a step to the left. Uh-huh. And now a step to the right so we can see the edges. Oh, that looks good.
Turn around.
Yes, please. Oh, yeah. And then left and right again with your arms down.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. That looks amazing.
Not bad.
I love it.
Oh my gosh.
The Granny Square game.
This is I love this. This is wild. And you know what? You could just oh my gosh.
That looks fantastic.
You could cover it with surface stitching of like black to like give it some kind of uniformity.
Mm-hmm.
You could cover it with like really neat, like I'm thinking, you know what would look really neat? A whole spread of like leaf appliques all sort of sewn to look like they're falling all the way down.
I like that.
It is limitless.
It looks great. Oh,
this is really,
it turned out so good.
So soft and cozy.
Yeah.
Now I need to add the hood, and then I wanted to do some finishing rows across the bottom because I didn't know really how long this was going to be, but it is a lot longer than I thought. The point goes right down to my knee. That is great. Plus, a good rule of thumb to me is if you're wearing a poncho and the end meets the edge of your fingers, that's a good length, in my opinion. I like that. So, because you can still kind of reach out from underneath it.
Mm-hmm. That looks great. Just enough to keep your hands warm.
So cozy. so cozy. I might close in the neck a little bit, but I want to add my hood. So
Tori has a suggestion. How about multicolored fringes?
Multicolored fringes, yes. I love fringe on the poncho. That just has like 70s written all over it.
Yes.
Well, I think that's all I'm going to do for it today. I think we will resume the next one, and we will start right off the bat with the granny square game. I'm just going to move a couple things here.
Oh, okay.
Because
that sounds like fun.
I want to finish the hood, but I think my little wrists need a
Well, you've
break,
been going for over 2 hours.
Over 2 hours.
Yes.
Oh my gosh, it was another marathon. Well, that's fine. I still have all my yarns from the last time, so I have right where I left off with everything. So I'm just going to leave them right here. When we pick this up again, not exactly sure when, but I am going to finish this poncho. The next thing we're going to do is finish the hood. So we will start with granny square game rounds to get the hood finished, and then we will join that to this part.
Next stream's going to be a granny square game.
Next stream's going to be a granny square game, and I think I'm trying to decide if I'm going to close in this neck hole a little bit more. I might run a row of single crochet around the middle around it just to kind of close it in a little bit. And then I'm going to run a couple of rows around the bottom just to finish it off. And then that's it.
It looks fantastic.
It's very cozy. Oh my gosh. Yeah, it's pretty. I love it. It looks like a really, really nice sweater.
Kelly has given us another super chat.
Thank you, Kelly.
And says, yes, Molly Weasley wears it under her apron in the movies.
In the movies. Okay.
Yeah.
Is it always the same one? I don't remember. It's been a while since I saw the movies.
It's been many years since we watched the movies.
I remember
we should probably watch them again.
I remember it being a kind of a nutty sweater, and I remember thinking, oh, good detail, because she makes everybody an actual like sweater that's like two-toned with their initial on it, but then she would just use whatever's left over for her own sweater. I remember thinking that was a smart detail. But yeah, I like that. Okay. All right. So on that note, if you didn't already get your free printable over on the website, on the tools page of our website, please don't hesitate to pop over, download that. You can print it off or just keep it kind of on your phone or your e-reader, however you like to keep your stuff. I'm putting mine in my project journal, and I'm keeping it alongside all of my granny square patterns because you can make a granny square poncho with any granny square pattern you like. That's it for today. I want to thank everybody for hanging out with us. We hope your weekend is going to be fun. If you're out of power or you've just come back onto power, then please look after yourselves. Stay warm, stay cozy. Make yourselves a nice warm meal or get one if you can. It's a scary thing to lose power. So I hope you guys are all okay. If you're caught in this storm, I think we're looking at more snow coming, and it just got dark again. So it looks like
we're gonna see the next few days.
I think it's gonna snow all weekend.
But it's gonna be a little every day.
Yeah. So
as long as we don't get a dump like a few days ago, because that was.
As long as our power stays on, I will be okay with whatever.
Yeah,
comes,
power stay on, please.
Yes, please. So everybody take care of yourselves. Please reach out if you know somebody in a very wintry zone. Just sort of maybe pop them a little phone call or a text message just to make sure they're okay. And stay safe, stay crafty, stay cozy. We'll see you guys really soon. Thank you so much for hanging out with us. Thank you for the chats, the super chats, the super stickers. Thank you everybody who's joined and become a member. Make sure that you check out all of the stuff in the community tab. You can sort of scroll through it and see what's there. You just have to kind of go back in the timeline. There's all sorts of neat things there. And if you are looking for a specific project this week, then or this weekend, you can always search Jayda InStitches and then the name of the project you're interested in, and that will bring up the video that is the closest match. And we've got like 500 of them.
So if you're looking for something new, and
we've got little projects like dishcloths, and we've got big projects like ponchos and whatnot. So if you're trying to sort of think about something new, then that's a fun game. I like to do that with some of my favorite channels. I type in the name of the channel, and then I just type in like a random word or a random thing, and I see what videos pop up, and I just go down that rabbit hole. It is so fun.
The other thing is, if you go to our channel homepage on YouTube, which I've linked in the chat, across the top, go to the videos, tap on videos, and you can just scroll through all of them.
Yes,
they're all there.
Yep, they're all there in chronological order.
In chronological order.
But I like the fun of search. I like that search. It's
kind
like
of
a
like
game.
having it pop
It's
up.
like a game.
Oh,
you know, Jayda InStitches pumpkin. What happens? Jayda InStitches rabbit. What happens? It's fun.
You're right. That is fun.
I like to turn everything into a game. What can I say?
Yeah. I had something else I wanted to mention, but I forgot.
Okay, well, if you think of it later, I can put it in the description box.
We'll put it in the chat in the
description box.
Or the tab, community tab.
Or the community tab. Yes, once this ends, it'll become a video. It's got to process for a little bit. So if you're trying to sort of catch up where you may have left the beginning, if it looks a bit funny, that's why it always has to process for a bit. And we'll make sure all the pertinent links, i.e. to the tools page of our website, are in the description box and the pinned comment, just in case you have trouble finding those. Yes.
I'd also like to thank one of our new members who has upgraded to Silk.
Thank you.
A big thank you to Pastor Marvell Whitley.
Thank you. Welcome again.
I hope I'm pronouncing that correctly. Marvell.
Lovely.
Thank you for joining and thank you for upgrading.
Thank you. Thank you very much. And on that note, I want you all to have a good weekend. Stay safe, stay crafty, all the good stuff. Make yourselves a nice warm beverage. If you're down under, make yourself a nice cool beverage, because I know it's probably nice and warm there. I'm dreaming about your sunshine right now. So enjoy your weekends. We'll see you guys really soon, and take care. Thanks so much for hanging out with us. This was good. Look how much work I got done. I'm so happy about this.
It looks fantastic.
I really like this.
So we'll be doing part 3.
Yes, we'll be doing part 3. We're getting the hood.
We'll keep you posted. See you later.
Yeah. I really like this.